Yeah, and to round things off tonight, we have a great, great guest coming up right now, Ricky Warwick, who has played with so many great bands, the Almighty, Black Star Riders. The list goes on and on. He's got a great new solo record coming out shortly, so let's bring him on and talk to him about that.
Hey
There he
guys,
is. Hey, Ricky, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you guys doing?
Ricky, nice to see you.
Nice to see you
I'm
guys.
doing
Keeping
great, man.
well?
And let me say, yeah, how you making out during this difficult year?
I'm doing okay, thank you. Doing okay, roof over my head, food in the fridge, everybody's well. So I'm blessed.
Cool. And you're staying busy, it sounds like, with some great new music. The album is coming out next week. When Life Was Hard and Fast. This is just a great record. I mean, the songwriting is incredible,
Thank
and I
you.
want to talk to you about that. But first, let's talk about who's playing on the record with you, the basic
Sure,
band, not the special guests.
sure. Well, the meat and potatoes band that we actually recorded the band with is myself on guitar, vocals, Keith Nelson, who people know from his Buck Cherry days. He co-produced and co-wrote the record with me, and then we've got Xavier Muriel on drums. Xavier was in Buck Cherry for a while too, and then on bass guitar we got Robbie Crane from Black Star Riders.
Oh yeah, definitely. Cool. And like I said, these
Nice.
songs, they're so well crafted. They go different places. And I mean, you've always been such a great songwriter, and you
Thank
continue
you.
that tradition with
Thanks.
this record. How how did it come about, you being a songwriter? Is it something you developed? Were there skills that you had to study? Did you, or is it just something that naturally comes out of you? I'm always fascinated by songwriting. Some people say, "Oh, it just came right out." Other people tell me, "Oh, we worked on this song for a year." So how is
Sure.
songwriting for you as a craft?
As a kid, I was never drawn to the lead guitar player. It was the songs, it was the riffs, what made the overall sound of the song. Why did it sound like that? What was the structure? Why was he saying that? Why do those words rhyme? That's what fascinated me, and I was instantly drawn to that. So when I learned guitar and started really taking guitar seriously, as soon as I had 3 or 4 chords, I started writing. I was off. I was just writing. I just wanted to write. I mean, I'd always sort of kept diaries as a kid and wrote poetry as a kid and sort of kept it to myself. And then suddenly, when I had the guitar, suddenly here was this extension of my soul that I could get these words out with music. And it was just wonderful. And, as I progressed and got older, you start really analyzing the great singer songwriters out there or the great writers. So for me, it was obviously Phil and Thin Lizzy. It was Joe Strummer in the Clash. It was Springsteen. It was Dylan. It was people with something to say. People that were writing stuff that made a difference. For me, growing up in Belfast, there was a lot of punk bands like Stiff Little Fingers that would write about the troubles in Belfast, which was relative to me as a kid at that time. So I completely just tapped into all that.
Very cool. And we have some special guests that are quite impressive. Let's start with Andy Taylor of Power Station, Duran
Sure.
Duran fame. How long have you known Andy, and what is he doing on the record?
I've known Andy for about 30 years. Andy produced the second Almighty album way back in 1991, and we became friends and we've stayed in touch. Andy took some time out to see his family grow up. He lives in the island of Ibiza, and he hit me up about 3 or 4 years ago, and he started writing again, and he's made a solo record. And I co-wrote 6 of the songs on the solo record with him, which is coming out later this year.
Oh,
And he's
cool.
just been a great friend. He's a great writer, great guitar player, great singer. And so we were making the record. I was getting the ideas together for When Life Was Hard and Fast. And I said, look, man, you got to return the favor. You got to play some guitar on one of my songs. And he said, send it over. And I did. And he just ripped out this killer solo on the track I'd Rather Be Hit. And he's just a good dude, man. He's a rock and roller. He's one of us. His favorite band's AC/DC. People get that misconception. Oh, he's the new romantic Jude and Duran Duran. And he's so much more than that. So much more than that.
Yeah, and you could always hear that in his guitar playing. I mean, even if you go back
Yeah.
and listen to Power Station, or what was that?
Got
His
it.
first
Yeah.
solo record, Thunder, I think was a
Thunder, yeah. Great,
yeah,
great record. Yeah,
yeah,
really cool.
good stuff. Joe Elliott, a guy you've worked with before, and I believe you've had a long time friendship with. He's involved with the
Yeah.
record. Can you talk about that involvement?
Yeah, Joe's again somebody I've known a long time. I was even best man at Joe's wedding. He's a great friend of me. He's my mentor. He's my bro. He produced the first two solo Ricky Warwick records. Listen, you're not going to argue with a guy that sold 150 million albums. So he's my sounding board. So when I'm working on something, I'll send him it over and go, "What do you think?" And he's always brutally honest with me, and that's what I love about Joe. I don't always agree with his opinion, but I know I'm going to get a real honest opinion out of him. And he's just been a great supporter of mine and a great friend over the years, and is always only too happy to help. And it's not even me going to Joe. It's me. Joe's like, "Is there anything you want me to sing on? Anything you need me to do?" He's that guy. And of
Wow.
course, when it's somebody like Joe Elliott with his experience
Wow.
and the notoriety he has, offers his services up, you're going to say yes every time.
Right on. Right on.
So, Ricky, I wanted to talk a little bit about your working relationship with Keith Nelson, who is not
Sure.
only a great guitar player, but he's a great songwriter and he's great
Yep.
in the studio. And if you can add one more thing on top of that, he's got a collection of vintage Gibson guitars that I think is out of control. And
Yeah.
I want to ask you about that. And so, tell me a little bit about Keith and these guitars.
That's what swung it. I don't really like Keith. I just like his vintage guitars. Uh, it's a funny story. Indirectly and indirectly, Damon Johnson, who I'm sure you guys know, Damon Johnson, he was in Brother Kane and obviously in Black Star
Yeah.
Riders. When Damon left Black Star Riders, we're looking for a guitar player, and Richard Fortas from Guns N' Roses, who's a good friend of mine, called me up and said, Keith Nelson's just left Buck Cherry. You should ask Keith. He's great. I think he'd really work out good for you guys. And I had never met Keith. This is 3 years ago. I'd never met him. But obviously I was aware of him and knew he was a great guitar player. So I got his number and I called him up and we arranged to meet in Barney's Beanery in West Hollywood early in the morning. And Keith turned up and he walked in. He said, before we go any further, I just want to tell you, I'm not the guy for you. I'm not going to take this gig. And I was like, all right, well, what the hell are you doing here then? What? He said, look, I love the band. I love Black Star Riders. I'm done touring. That's one of the reasons I'm off. I left Buck Cherry. He said, but out of respect, I wanted to come and tell you face to face and the whole thing. So anyway, we get talking and there's definitely some chemistry there. Both blue collar working class boys, a love of the same music, a love of the same rock and roll, a love of vintage guitars. And Keith said to me, look, I got a studio, I'm writing, I'm producing these days. Why don't you come over? Let's just work on a song, have some fun. And I did. And I went over and we actually wrote the song Fighting Heart, which is on the record. I took the demo home. I listened to the demo. Right. I was blown away. I called him up. I said, Keith, I got more than enough ideas to make a solo record. Would you co-produce it with me? Would you finish co-writing it with me? He said, let's go, let's do it. And that's where the whole thing got started. And he's become one of my dearest friends now. And I love working with the guy because, like you said, he's a demon in the studio. He's a great songwriter, great guitar player, and we had so much fun making this record. So much fun.
Very good. And again, the record is "When Life Was Hard and Fast" by Ricky Warwick. Great stuff. I do want to ask you one other question about the album, but it just popped into my mind. One of the only interviews I've ever been to where the guy I was interviewing offered me a beer, and that was you when you were in New York City. We were at like a Midtown Manhattan, like hipster hotel, like Ace Hotel or something like that. I don't know if you
right.
Was that was like 5 years ago?
Was that for a Black Star Riders record?
Yeah, definitely.
You see, that's the Irish hospitality in me. I don't know why everybody doesn't do that. You've a guest come in somewhere, you offer them a drink. With me, it's always probably going to be alcoholic, but hey, you get, that's no bad thing, right?
Right on. Well, that definitely
I
is
love
a good
that.
way to win over the interviewer. But let's talk about the album cover, because there's an interesting image on the album cover. It looks. Tell me about that. It's like a crashed race car. Is that like an actual historic photo or scene?
Yeah, I'll try and condense this story down for you. It's a scene from a road race that happened in the late 20s and 30s in Ireland. It was called the Ards TT. It was huge. It was like a NASCAR Formula One race of its day. Obviously, those guys were just driving real primitive cars, 70, 80 miles an hour, but with no protection, with the old leather helmets and the goggles on. And it was a road race. So they were racing on civilian roads. And the race actually looped around the town that I grew up in. And that scene that you see right there is my grandfather's farm with all the spectators standing on one of his fields. He used to rent the fields out to the spectators to watch the race. And that crash scene is actually at the foot of one of those fields with the spectators watching it. And, you know, my father remembers it because he was 4, 5, 6 years old when he was a kid. He would watch these races, and he told me the great stories about them. So I became infatuated with it. And then when we wrote When Life Was Hard and Fast, I thought, you know, this ties the whole thing in, the whole imagery of those old races that are so close to my family and what my family grew up with. So it's a photograph that's got some family history in it, as well as just a great iconic image of how crazy those guys were, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. And before we let you go, I definitely have to ask you how Scott Gorham is doing, and are any plans for any more Black Star Riders material?
Scott Gorham is bored out of his brains.
Is he? Okay.
He is. He's doing very well. He's locking down. You know, Scott's a little bit older. He's missing everybody. He's over in London. That's where he lives. But I talked to him the other day. He's in good form. He's bored. He's ready to roll. He's ready to get back out there. We have written the next Black Star Riders album. It's done. It's demoed. We're just waiting for when it's safe that we can all come together and get into the studio, which will be here in LA with Jay Rustin again, and actually record the thing. So I'm hoping this summer we'll be able to get in and get it recorded.
Wow. Well, that's great news. That's great news. You've always delivered such great music with Black Star
Thank
Riders.
You.
And
Thanks, guys.
John, anything else before we let Ricky go?
Yeah, I got one more question. Yeah, I got one more question, and this is like my type of question, which there's only be a small amount of people who understand this. But Ricky, I have to ask you. So I'm listening to "You Don't Love Me," and I'm thinking that this song is great, and I love it. And then when you hit the chorus, you go to what I think is a Motown influence beat where the snare is on all fours, and I went, man, when I just thought this song couldn't get any cooler, it got even cooler with that chorus figure. And where did that come from?
You. Oh man, well, you nailed it. You know, that you nailed that. That's amazing, John. Thank you so much. Keith wrote the chord structure for that chorus. I wrote the verse, and then Keith came in with the chord structure for the chorus. And then I'm obsessed by Motown, and I'm obsessed with Northern Soul music. It's right up there with hard rock with me, my two favorite types of music. And you know, if you listen to a song like Testify or Say Goodbye by Black Star Riders, that's hugely influenced by Motown and Northern Soul. The melodies and the playing and the backbeat and the feel of those songs, you know, from the Wrecking Crew that played on a lot of that stuff, that what they have is just incredible. And I'm hugely influenced by it. And I'm going to admit it, I steal a lot of my melodies from old Motown stuff, you know, and you crank up the guitars behind them. It's like, come on, you know, what's not to like? So fair play to you for picking up on that. And it was totally meant, and you know, we definitely went for that feel in that chorus, and you know, again, kudos to Keith for coming up with such a great chord structure in the chorus, and kudos to you for recognizing it. Thank you.
Cool, and thank you, Ricky, for all the great music.
Thank you so much, Ricky. And we also got to tell you that, yeah,
and we are you know, just thankful, and thanks for the beer. Appreciate it.
Next time.
Yeah. Man. And Ricky, we got to tell you that Ricky Rackman says hello. He was our first guest tonight, and he said, make sure you tell Ricky that I said hello.
Oh, man, Ricky, I love him. Right back at him, man. I hope he told you the story about he was the first guy to bring the Almighty to play at the Cat Club in the Cat House in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Ricky brought us.
Yep.
Yeah, he brought us over right at the start of our career. So ever indebted to Ricky for that. But he's a great dude, as you guys know. He's killer.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Thank you, Ricky. We appreciate your time, and we wish you all the best of luck. We can't wait to get you back here in the New Jersey, New York area. We're ready to rock.
Me too.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. All the best. Be safe. Be well.
Absolutely, Ricky.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Thank you, Ricky. Okay. Take care, brother.
All right, John. Well,
man, he is so cool, Mark.
Yeah, good show tonight. Nonstop action. So the way it should be.
Yeah,
cool. John, let's remind people about your website, astronomy.net. Is still up there and rocking, right? Everything John has ever done is at astronomy.net.
Yeah. You know, up until 2016, I haven't updated that website since 2016, but that's everything I've done from the beginning of time until 2016. And one of these days I'm gonna, create a new website, Astronomy. Maybe it'll be Astronomy 2021. How about that?
There you go, Astronomy 2021. We hope you get back out there on the road with your band, Like It. Where can people connect with Like It online?
Yeah. So you can connect with Like It at like-it-online.com. So it's basically Like It Online with hyphens. So I say like-it-online.com. You can download or you can stream our songs on YouTube for free. And if you want your own digital MP4 or MP3 files, whatever they are, you can purchase them on the site and they get emailed to you. So, but you can just go on YouTube and listen to the stuff for free. And I designed a specific single cover for each of the songs. And I'll tell you the truth. I mean, the songs are great, but I have to say that I think these covers are really cool. So if you haven't yet seen the covers of the My Way and the Bump and Grind and the Mommy LSD is A-OK and the Doing It singles, check those out because they're meant to be a little bit funny, and I think they came out great. So check that out.
Very cool. Great songs. I've always been a fan of those songs. So definitely do yourself a favor. What is it?
It's like the band is called Like It. So and the website is Like It Online. So to spell it out, it's LAKE-IT-online.com.
Yeah. Very simple, but for me, complicated. But yeah, cool. Well, we will
okay.
link.
You know what? We want to thank all the people that put the show together, and I just want to apologize for having some kind of internet problems, which is why I might have seemed slightly frustrated throughout the interview, and why sometimes we talk over each other, because everything is coming at me at delays, and so I can see you talking, but then I don't hear it for a minute. And then when I don't hear you talking, I start talking, and then everybody's talking on top of each other. So, but what we'll have to do is we'll figure it out for next time. And but we still want to thank everybody, because having the crew with Marcy and Andrew and everybody, it makes this so much more fun, even when it doesn't go quite perfectly. And that's not their fault; it's my fault, because I've got some kind of weird internet problem in my new place. So. We'll work on that for next time. So thanks for bearing with us. Thanks to Delilah for.
Yeah, I don't think it was that noticeable. I mean,
one of the people that hooked. Okay, good.
I didn't notice it that much on my end.
Good, perfect.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, thanks to everyone that helped out with tonight, Marcy and Andrew and the whole gang. So we really appreciate your help, Sophia and everyone, JP. And that'll do it for tonight. We're gonna call it an evening, and hopefully come back in 3-4 weeks. Maybe we'll be back with another one of these.
Absolutely. And you know what? The good news, guys, is that I believe that eventually, and maybe it was the whole time, this did pop up on my Facebook page, my main Facebook page. But I think there's a chance that it initially.
It's up there. I can see it
on one of my. Yeah, it's up there now, but I actually think only the last 30 minutes was up there, and I think that maybe like the first hour was on one of my other Facebook pages, and that is, whose fault is that? My fault, because I have 6 Facebook pages. So we'll get that right the next time too. And if you're tuning in on the main John Astronomy Facebook page, we will put a link to the full version of this. And then, of course, Mark will clean this up like he always does, and we'll put like a nice, perfect version out there on YouTube.
Yep, definitely. It looks like, I don't know, I'm seeing it on your Facebook page, but cool. All right, guys, that'll do it. We'll see you next time. Every Tuesday.
Okay, thanks, everybody. And